の歌消えない心の傷メシアを求め続けたあの日の夜 Welcome back, y'all. This is Anime Degens, episode 96. And today it's just me and Nam. Dan will be back next week. We got some fun things we're gonna do. I think next week we're planning on doing like the look ahead at the winter season. See what kind of shows we got coming out, stuff like that. So it'll be a fun time. Then I always look forward to that because it gets me super hyped about what we're gonna get to see coming up in the next few weeks. So um
There's always a lot of really good animes that come out each season, and just taking the time to really look at the list, right? Get an idea of what is actually coming, and even check out some trailers and stuff like that. It really helps also widen, your view stance. You might just only go to what's popular, but actually taking a look and seeing and reading some of these things, they might you know, introduce you to some new shows.
yeah, that's one of the things I like about doing like the anticipated episodes or whatever, like the look aheads, is that we
Yeah.
can I like trying to find like the hidden gems before the season comes out, you know what I mean? So
And there's always gonna be at least, one or two, right?
yeah, I think Dan actually called Orb last season when we did this look ahead thing. He had Orb on his list, so which is one of the hidden gems of this season. So
You see, we might be future, psychics and stuff like that.
yeah.
Starting to get
But
some of that Dan to Dan voodoo going on, you know?
exactly. But on this episode, we're gonna be talking about we're gonna be doing a little look at Arcane season one. Since Dan was out, we decided, hey, we ain't got nothing else to do. I really want to watch Arcane since everyone's like gassing it up, especially since the second season just dropped. And so, what better way to do it, you know, than to watch it and then just talk about it on the podcast? I feel like that's perfect. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, and I don't know about you, but like obviously I've heard of Arcane and stuff like that.
I think everyone has honestly. Like
I just
it was
wasn't
really popular, right?
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting it to be so gas though, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, as a primarily anime watcher like myself, I don't really go to Netflix hardly, Like, I stay on Crunchyroll a lot and like High Dive. So when I go to Netflix, it's because they have a show that I'm watching and I watch that show and then I close out of Netflix and that's it. And so shows like Arcane and stuff like that, they kind of get lost on me because like I'm not going there to look for shows. I'm going there to look for one specific show. And, Arcane wasn't never that show. So but
No.
yeah. So, we decided might as well just take a first look at it. See how we enjoy it. Uh See what we liked about it, all that good stuff. Um and just talk about it, bullshit about it for a little while. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I guess before we get started on like the news, uh, just want to let y'all know the best way to support us is make sure you rate the podcast on your podcast platforms, whether that be Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, whatever, Pocket Cast, I don't know, whatever other podcast platform you're on. Follow us on YouTube. Like the videos on there as well. The DGM videos is always going to be on YouTube, and we also got videos on the Spotify as well for the DGM episodes. So just go do that. Linktree.com/anime degens and join our Discord. We're always looking for people to join the Discord, talk to us. I'm always looking for people to talk to. Um, we're trying to grow the Discord. We're having watch parties, stuff like that. So come through, hang out with us. all that good stuff. Come tell Nam that, you don't like his takes. I don't know.
What? No, no, no. Come into the Discord, make fun of my headphones for this week that I have them.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, audio listeners are missing out badly because Nom's got a pair of pink kitty cat headphones on. And he plans on keeping them. He said it fits his style. So
What can I say? They're just very, very glamorous, and they light up too. So
well, Fergie says his best, right? GLAMOROUS, first class. but but yeah, anyways,
go Fergie.
I'll save y'all you know, the jealousy, embarrassment of hearing me sing, and we'll just get straight into the news. So Nam, you wanna get us started with that?
Yeah, yeah. So first bit of news for those of you who played this little sci-fi RPG. I'm probably gonna pronounce it wrong. Gnosia.
It's probably
Um,
nausea. No nausea, probably, honestly.
More than likely, yeah. This game launched on the Vita in 2019 in Japan only, and then came to Switch in Japan only in 2020. However, it did get a Western release in 2021. It is actually getting the anime treatment in 2025.
Mm,
So, for those of you who have played it, maybe you've been yearning for more, and here you go.
there you go. Have you ever looked at it?
I've seen it a couple times. I have not picked it up though. Um, it is it is a very artful game. I will give it that, and that's probably going to be one of the big standouts to it. Um, that being said, though, I haven't really heard much about it, so
Well, I
I don't know.
mean,
It might be
I
worth
guess it
checking out.
kinda hurts it that it was on the PlayStation Vita, which didn't last very long, I don't think, so
Whoa, 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 whoa! Hold up
right?
here, listeners. I'm sorry for Tyler. He doesn't know the Vito was a goat. Trust me. Um, just forgive him. Forgive his ignorance.
Where's that now?
Uh
3 years later, you know? Nowhere to be found.
it's all right. They got the PlayStation Portal.
Yeah. The
So,
PSP wannabe, but it's trash instead.
I don't want to get into that one. Um, but yeah, so I don't know, it might be worth checking out. I mean, that's the thing, right? Video games are starting to get anime adaptations. Arcane.
But it's also the thing is like hopefully like so video game and anime like they can either go a couple ways, right? They can go like Arcane and like some of these other adaptations as went, or they can go like the money grab way, right? Where you can literally just tell that it was made for to be a money grab and to like funnel people into like the game or whatever, and where they try to get your money, for buying skins and all this shit. So I wonder
I
which
mean,
one
that's
this is gonna
fair.
be. You know what I mean?
That's a fair, assumption because I mean, some games are very, very rich with lore and world building. Case in point, actually, League of Legends, MOBAs in general. But then you also have a lot of them too that they don't really flesh themselves out very well, and it's hard to get intrigued about those ones.
Yeah. Uh, well, moving on to our next bit of news, we got the Kagurabachi, which was a very hot manga that just started, I think, last year. If I'm right, it actually got confirmed for an anime adaptation the other day. So there's not really any like official timeline yet on release dates and stuff, but I'm pretty excited for this one, even though I didn't partake in the reading the manga when it came out or whatever. But I am kind of worried that like this is like hopefully it doesn't get like the Boruto treatment, right? Hopefully it doesn't start trying to become an anime too soon and get the Boruto treatment. So I'm kind of worried about that because I know it just started, but apparently Dan said it's got like 60 some chapters, which is good enough for like one season. I would say so.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Uh,
mean, I guess it all depends too at the rate at which the artist is, you know, writing and
yeah.
stuff like that, and what kind of stuff that they can really do with the story.
I mean,
So,
I say it's a week. I'm pretty sure it's a weekly drop. So it's in Shonen Jump. So I would say it's a weekly drop, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Dan says
yeah,
it's fire, so I'm kind of excited for that one. So
good, nice. Next bit of news, not so nice for those of you who are free members for Crunchyroll. Um, you will only have a limited amount of time to catch up on One Piece. They are going to start essentially paywalling the arcs, as the article put it. Realistically, it's just after I want to say sometime later this month. You're just going to need to be a premium member. That's all. Like
yeah,
any literal tier does not matter which tier. You don't have to have the ultimate subscription. You just have to have a subscription. It's not going to be free for ad supported members.
yeah, which sucks. Because I mean, I'm sure there's not like a lot of people out there that have the free plan. A lot of people don't even know like Crunchyroll has a free plan. You know, like they just they just pay for like the cheapest option or whatever, and just go about their day. But you know, for like the people that don't want to pay or whatever, Netflix does have up to Punk Hazard though. I know everyone's probably got Netflix or mostly everyone, and it has up to Punk Hazard. It also has the new Egghead episodes like a week later release date. So y'all can still watch the stuff, but if you're trying to catch up, like Nam said, you'll either have to sell the C's or you know pay for a subscription now. So
See, it's
um
not even that bad having that subscription either.
no,
You
not
know,
at
I've
all.
had it
No ads,
for
bro, you know?
and I've had it for a little over a year now. It's probably like the only subscription aside from my Spotify that I actively pay for and use actively like that. I mean, there's I, my wife pays for like 15 different TV show subscriptions. Not actually 15, but we got all of them and realistically she only watches like two of them every couple months and then she switches to the others.
Yeah.
So, like, why are we spending money on all of that?
You could be like
Use
me
what
and
you
just,
got.
you know, pay for like Hulu, Netflix, Crunchyroll, and High Dive or whatever, and not even use like any of them, and just let like family members use Netflix and Hulu, you know, and I'm just paying for them. I don't know. I watch Bleach on Hulu, and I watch, you know, I've had to watch a couple shows on Netflix for anime, so that's it.
Well,
Like,
and on Hulu.
yeah. Well, that's what I said. Bleach on Hulu. Bleach is literally the only thing that's on Hulu. Except for
No,
like
there was
Heavenly
Go Go Loser
Delusions.
Ranger.
Yeah, and Loser Ranger. I think we got some coming next month for Hulu. I seen it um Sakamoto Days is gonna be on Netflix, so which is surprising. I thought it was gonna be
Yeah, they've
on
been really
Crunchy.
pushing hard again back into
Yeah, I mean, I'm for it,
back
you
into
know what
the
I
anime.
mean? It it makes Crunchyroll step up its game maybe because Crunchyroll's really fallen down a lot. So, um, another piece of news we got is they had a popularity poll for My Hero Academia, trying to figure out who the best hero of My Hero Academia was, and Bakugo won the world's best hero, which is kind of surprising. I wouldn't think Bakugo would win. Um, but apparently there's going to be a bronze statue going to be put on an exhibit in Japan in 2025 sometime. I don't know where. I don't know how big this statue's gonna be. Hopefully it's not gonna be like uh what's his name? Who just had a statue made? Dwayne Wade? Was it Dwayne Wade? I think
I
it
have no
was.
idea.
Yeah, but
Who the man
anyways,
had a statue made, really?
Deku was number 2, Todoroki was number 3, and Eraserhead was number 4. So, I mean that checks out. I just didn't think Bakugo was that popular. So,
I can see it, the explosions.
I mean he annoys me. So I don't know. I figured like freaking Miss America, America Mommy would be up there. So, or even
Look,
like
she had like an episode and a half, all right? We didn't get
even
enough
like
of.
All My, bro. Like All My's pretty fun. Or like freaking Mirko or Mount Lady or something. I figured something like that would be up there. You know what I mean? Or freaking Ochako, Chaku,
N
whatever the hell her name is. But
Nah, dude, the only thing that matters is, good old explosions, all right?
I guess so. But yeah, I figured we would talk about that for a second. Nam, you got something else for us?
Yeah. So there's a new Gundam anime coming out called I don't even want to go based off of what you even
No, that's
typed
it,
there,
Nam.
Tyler.
That is
Yeah,
legit the title.
okay, so it's Mobile Suit Gundam GQUUUUUUUUX. The G, the Q, and the X are capital.
Yeah, I don't know how
The
you're supposed to
animation on
pronounce
it,
that though.
me either. The animation looks really, really crisp, really high quality. Um, there definitely doesn't seem to be a lot of focus so far in the trailer based around the actual Gundam yet, but obviously that could very well change. They're probably just saving all of the cool stuff for the actual show.
Yeah.
They don't want to spoil this too much. But apparently it drops January 17th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean that's
At
big
least,
news for the Gundam peeps. So you
yeah.
gonna check it out, Nam?
Oh yeah. I love me a good mech. I can't wait for Niflheim Hollow to continue.
I hope not, bro. Uh, speaking of things that I want to check out, not mechs, but I want to check out. We got a couple
Mech
shows coming
hater.
next year in 2025 that I'm gonna check out, and one of them's called The Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife. It's announced for 2025. This seems like a fun show because the dude's invisible, and his soon-to-be his wife, fiance, whatever you want to call her, she's actually blind, so she don't even know he's invisible apparently. So that's gonna be a fun time. I feel like so. Um,
Hey, what better way to work out than not having to look at your spouse and believing
I
that he's
guess
real?
um, but and the other one that I got is The Summer Hikaru Died. That's gonna be coming in summer 2025. I've been hearing a lot of good things about this one as well. I'm pretty sure it's a movie. It's gonna be on Netflix, and it's probably gonna make me cry, but I'm looking forward to it. So,
Awesome. Last bit of news that we have is Beast. Is it the last bit of news? Yeah.
hmm
Beastars final season part 1 is now airing on Netflix.
yeah, it just come out. If you're listening on the day this episode dropped, it came out today. So, if not, it's already out. So, uh, but I know a lot of people was excited about that one. It's the finale. It's going to be 2 parts. I think split cower. So, hopefully y'all enjoy it. I haven't watched it yet. I plan on watching it soon. The B stars that is. Maybe we should do like a first look at it sometime, Nam, when Dan's not here. So
I mean, maybe Dan might want to join in on that one.
maybe I don't know. It's just it might be up his alley. You never know.
Exactly.
But
It sounds cool.
yeah,
You got beasts and their stars.
Well, it's like,
you know?
talking, walking animals, It's pretty
Exactly,
cool.
dude. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all the news we got. I guess you ready to get into what people came for? No?
I'm ready to get into it. I don't know about you.
Alrighty. Let's do it. We got Arcane season 1. Like I said, we decided, since Dan wasn't here, we didn't have nothing else to do for two people, and we was like, why not just watch Arcane? Everyone's talking about Arcane season 2. We've never seen Arcane, so I was like, let's just watch Arcane. Let's just do a first look at Arcane. We was only originally gonna watch like 3 episodes. We ended up watching 6. So
8
like
here.
Yeah, well, Nam watched even more, but I only got to do 6. Um but I mean, that's better than what we was gonna do. We was only gonna do 3, and we decided to double it because it was pretty good. So
As I had
some
said earlier, it is gas,
yeah.
like straight fire all the time.
Yeah, and this, I'm just gonna talk about some of the stuff that Arcane has done. It's got 2 seasons, 9 episodes each. First season dropped in 2021. The second season just dropped recently in the last month or so in 2024. They're both on Netflix, by the way. Fortiche Studio. It's like a French company, I guess, and Riot Games came together to create this uh, and animate it. It won 4 Emmys in 2022. One of them included outstanding animated program, so basically like the best animation or whatever. And 3 of them was like individual achievements and animation awards, which is pretty good for like an animation. So, um, it also won best adaptation at the Game Awards. It won 9 different categories at the Annie Awards, which I know nothing about, but I think they're pretty popular. I don't watch many award shows. Um, it was like the number one TV show in like 85 different countries while it was airing, I think it was. Both seasons have 100% Rotten Tomatoes, and they're scored like a 9 out of 10 on IMDb. So pretty hefty praise for this season of Arcane, or just Arcane in general. So um I guess before we get started into what we're going to be talking about, I just want to read a quick summary. That way, if you haven't watched it or whatever, maybe you can have an understanding of what actually goes on. Basically, set in a utopian Piltover, which is a city of like wealthy people, like where the wealthy lives and stuff like that, and the oppressed underground of Zon. The story follows the origins of two iconic League of Legends champions and the power that will tear them apart, um, which is the simplest, best summary I could find without spoiling stuff. Um, but yeah, now we get into us actually talking about it, just discussing and bullshitting about it. Just let y'all know that will be spoilers mentioned up to episode 6. Nam will have to um not spoil it for episode 7 and 8 for me. Uh
I got
but
you, don't worry.
but up to episode 6, we will be talking about events that take place. So make sure if y'all haven't seen it, go watch it, come back, all that good stuff. Unless you just don't care about spoilers, then listen away. It ain't gonna change how you enjoy it probably. So, uh, but first of all, like the first thing I want to ask is like, I I only played like League of Legends, right? Like this is a League of Legends base game, and me myself, I played it like once a long time ago. My best friend plays it a lot, but he's pretty good at those types of games. I'm not that much of a like. I'm not really good at those types of games because I feel like you have to try hard, and I don't like trying hard. I like being casual. I like doing stuff casually. I just don't want to put a lot of time and effort into video games when I have time to play them. And I feel like League of Legends is one of those games where you have to put the time and effort and try in order to achieve victory or have fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you're that's the thing with MOBAs, right? All MOBAs in general, they have here's the complicated thing with them. They have such deep lore. The problem is that there's no way for you to know it without actually playing the game and then reading into the clues that they leave behind. Here are some of the interactions and stuff like that, how players, pair against other players and who they team up well with and stuff like that. You start to then get an idea of the story behind this game. Um, but that's the thing, right? Is even if you're a casual player, like MOBAs really aren't going to be that much fun for you.
Yeah. I mean,
You you
I played it once and I understood that. You know what I mean?
exactly. And that's the thing is they are very very well designed games, very well built and amazing mechanics, but you have to dive full into it in order to actually succeed
I'm
and,
assuming you
enjoy it.
played LOL quite a bit or at least some, right?
Nope. Nope. League of Legends was one I stayed away from purposely because I've played other MOBAs. I was not good with them. I did not have a lot of fun with them. I was not able to, pair up heroes well together and stuff like that. So it wasn't for me. And I stayed away from League of Legends.
So you never tried it at all.
Nope.
So I got at least a little bit one up on you, since I tried it like once or twice. So back in the day, um, which one of the things that always worried me about watching Arcane, even when like it first come out or whatever, everybody always said, League of Legends, it was League of Legends content, stuff like that. And I was like, well, I mean, I always was worried that you had to know League of Legends in order to watch it and enjoy it. But I feel like that's a misconception because you don't have to. Like, I feel like that you probably have a little bit more knowledge and fun getting to see some of these characters that you have played with if you played League of Legends. I don't think it's a prerequisite. Like you can watch this show without, playing League of Legends cuz I did and I enjoyed it. Nam did, he enjoyed it. And we knew nothing, like nothing at all.
Saying
So,
that's what I was saying earlier though, right? Is MOBAs have that backstory. They've always had that backstory.
yeah.
This is one of the first times where it's being fully fleshed out and it's done in a great way. Like this is realistically how most MOBA stories should be told, right? The thing that I didn't realize going into it was just how many characters we're already being introduced to that are playable in League of Legends.
Yeah, see, I didn't even look, Nam. I didn't even look at like League of Legend characters, like the game characters, to compare uh like what we've seen versus what's in the game or whatever. Like I've no, obviously I know Jinx is a character, right? And like you can tell that some of them are characters in the game, but like for the most part, I have no idea which one's a character and which one's not. They do such a good job of making every one of them feel like they're important. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a real testament to just how good the story writing is, not only with like Riot, but also that anime studio to bring those stories to life like that and
yeah.
make you care more.
Um, I guess with all that out of the way, just want to get our first impressions of the show. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go ahead first.
Okay, so like when I first started watching this, obviously the episodes are like 40 some minutes long, roughly. Only 9 of them. Um, and I thought it was gonna be like purely action packed, mostly action packed. Because like it's League of Legends, like it's like an action game or whatever. Like all they fight, you know, and
Yeah.
so I wasn't expecting it when we pulled up like the first scene that we seen, and it's like V and Powder, like they're kids and they're walking through a war zone with dead bodies everywhere and destruction everywhere. And like they walk up and see their mom or a loved one or somebody that they know. I'm not sure which. Um, and like they see her dead or whatever. And we see like a big ass dude fighting in the background. And like that's basically like the opening moments. And like it made me it kind of set the mood, it kind of set the tone for this show. Like it corrected it. Like I said, I thought it was gonna be like action packed, like just guns blazing, shit like that. And I realized I was wrong, and like it's gonna be like a I figured it was gonna be like a grim, like dark story, you know, after seeing that first opening sequence. Um, and I wasn't
Yeah.
wrong. Like this, you know, this is gonna be, you know, that type of grim story. Like a lot of heart was put in, like a lot of heart is shown, like a lot of emotions. Which is the type of stories that I generally love. So
Yeah, no. Kind of the same thoughts at first, right? Super dark, grim world, dreary, death all over the place. Jinx is walking around, or sorry, Powder's walking around with her eyes covered and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it cuts to um this bright, colorful city and all these kids and they're, jumping around on rooftops and, just kind of doing kid stuff, if you will. Um, and then it segues into them doing like a job, essentially. And it was a nice change of pace, but I think it kind of also really helps set the tone for what kind of character Jinx is. If you've ever seen her and you see Powder, you can almost directly correlate it first thing. I don't know if you did or not, but that was one
yeah,
thing I was like, "That's Jinx."
yeah. But the thing is just because I could like connect those dots, I didn't know what I was connecting. You know what I mean? Because I have no idea what Jinx is. I don't. I, Still to this day, I don't know like what kind of weapon she has or whatever. I assume a minigun, you know, because that's what she uses in the show. But I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't never confirm it.
She does have a
So
minigun, yes,
yeah,
and
I would assume
she
so.
does she does use explosives.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would assume that too. So, which I mean, we
I
don't
will
get to
say,
see all that first. You know, we get to see like her as a kid, which is very important. I felt like so.
yeah, yeah, but then also we then get to really also dive much deeper too into more of the family, more of the actual world, the characters. We get introduced to the rest of the kids. We get introduced to Vander. We get introduced to um, a couple other kids and stuff like that. And it's actually quite nice, and it was very surprising. And it seemed like it was going to be a little bit more of a peaceful show from then on.
Yeah. Well, you was wrong, because it doesn't really get. I mean, I guess it has peaceful moments, but it really stays like walking that fine line, you know, which like I said, I really enjoy when shows like do stuff like this because like they balance it out between, you know, like the dark ass shit that's going on and like the upper city and what's going on up there. So they do a good job at like spacing it out and, you know, separating the two and stuff like that. Uh The thing is though, is like you was talking about how it showed us all these characters and stuff, and I thought it done a really good job at showcasing like all these different people because like
Yeah,
it showed how they stood out. You know, these like four kids from the underworld or the undercity. They showed how they stood out so much in the upper wealthy, the Piltover city, and like it also showed how rough it was in Zon when they went back down to their city, you know, as they was being chased by the guards and stuff. And like the whole time we're seeing like this chase and this mission and like all this stuff, we're seeing like all the personalities of like V, Powder, Milo, and Clogger. And it really shows us like what type of person V and Powder was early on, especially, which
yeah,
comes in like really handy later because like they change quite a bit over the course of this season. So, um, it's a great ground that they put out there in the first like 10, 15 minutes, I feel like.
yeah, for sure. Um, because it also really helps lead into the type of character that Jinx is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It like really puts it more into perspective. Like it's easy to think that someone's just a psychopath until you realize that they're not.
Yeah. I mean, when she was young like that, she wasn't a psychopath. Like it's like it's what made her that way and we get to see that. So, we get to see like how she became that way, which is really interesting. Like I said, especially for like League of Legends players, I would assume because like they like love this game, right? And so I feel like they're getting to see more and more about like some of their favorite characters. Because I assume like Jinx is probably a pretty popular character. I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say as well.
um, One thing that I want to touch up on though is like the I know this is our first like look at this type of show. And you don't see many shows have like the same art style as Arcane used. So I wanna talk about that real quick before we get like deeper into the story. Um and like I always seen like promo content, right? I always seen like this advertised and stuff like that for Arcane, and like the art style always stood out for me because like it's different, like you you don't really see like animation or like anime use this type of art style. It's very unique. Um, and I can see like a lot of people I can see people getting turned off for using this type of art style because it's like very different. But it honestly reminded me of those video games. What is the Telltale games, like the Walking Dead ones, and like
Yeah.
they got the werewolf one or whatever, and like Game of Thrones one. Like they use this type of art style too. I'm pretty sure, and like I think that like those I really loved those games, and I had a lot of fun memories playing them, and I thought that they looked really good. And so when I got to see this animation, this Arcane doing this, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's pretty neat. This actually looks really good." And you start asking like, does it fit? Does it fit this show? And I think it did. I think it fitted pretty well. Because like I said, going back to these first couple opening minutes when they was walking through the destruction and seeing bodies everywhere and stuff, and they come up on like that dead body of the mother or whatever. Um, like you got like a little close up of like Jinx and or Powder and V's face, and on Powder's face it was just like caked with dirt, and Like you could literally see like the tear marks, like the trail of tear marks, uh, like running down her cheeks where she had been crying before. And I feel like in like a normal anime or like using like different art style, you wouldn't be able to capture that moment as well. But instead, like this art style, it was able to capture like those small details. It highlights those. And you normally miss that stuff, but like watching that scene, I was like, "Damn, this is like crazy." Like, there's so many small details that really show you what the scene is about, and I love when an anime is able to do that. And this this art style, I think, made this show able to just really hammer out those small details that make this show such a great show. So, and like the shading, it helps with the shading too, I feel like. So,
I would say even more importantly that if this anime didn't have this art style, that it probably wouldn't hit anywhere near the same with just the art alone. That's the strength in what this anime has with that art style, is that those sudden shifts are a lot more impactful. They feel more than, traditional.
yeah.
And that's what I really appreciated about it. Like, you can't just not look at it and not feel and understand what they're trying to convey.
Yeah, and it would be different if like they didn't try to like capitalize on that art style, and they just like kept everything like simple, and um they didn't really, like, take advantage of it, but they did. Like, you can tell that they cared about this, and they took advantage of what the art style, could give them, they could achieve with it, and we really seen it. Like I said, the tier trails, the trail marks, like, that's crazy, like, that literally, like they say, "Picture's worth 1,000 words." Like, that scene, like, you could literally tell, like, what Powder had been through for the last 10 minutes, or the last 30 minutes. So,
I
um,
mean, if not even longer than that,
yeah, I mean, it
because
just
that
all showed
was
on her face, and you can't get that with just any kind of art style, in my opinion. So I think they done a really good job with that. Um, but speaking of like art style, they also like so Studio Fortiche, like it's a French studio apparently. Riot Studios or Riot Games helped them as well. And like I don't think that they really have done a whole lot of long series work, like long format work or whatever, long form. um, I think that they've maybe worked on like the game and like trailers and shit like that, but I think this was their first time doing something like this. And like, I'm kind of surprised by that statement because they went hard as hell on this. Like apparently, a fun fact that I found while I was kind of just researching all this is it took them 6 years, and they had a budget of apparently they had a budget of 250 million, which is like the most ever for an animated series apparently. Uh, so like they had a lot on like a like I feel like that's crazy to give to a studio that's never done anything like this before. You know what I mean? So
I would agree, except the fact that when it's a studio like Riot doing it, right? They are already super meticulous themselves. So there is no way that they would not have already done all the research that they needed to do to truly find the studio that was going to be best at bringing their vision, right?
Yeah, I mean, they kinda stayed in-house kinda 'cause they stayed with somebody that they had already worked with or whatever, so
Yeah. And it makes it that much better and easier to just come out with something like that and then be okay justifying that kind of an expense.
yeah, I agree. Um, but one thing I wanna, like, mention is, how hard like I already said it, they went hard as hell on the shit. Like, I remember watching in, like, the first episode when they was being chased, and we get to, like, the slow motion punches or whatever while they was being chased. I was like, "Damn, this is, like, cool as hell." Like, we got to see, like, all the running animation and, like, being chased away, but then we got to see, like, the slow motion like the jaws was like, doing slow motion shit. Like it was really fun. And like I was like, okay, they're doing their best, you know? And then we get to I think in episode 5. Actually, this is one of my favorite moments of the episode. I mean, of the season so far. It's when V and Savika, which is Silco's like right hand woman or whatever, right? She's got the
Mhm.
mechanical arm or whatever. They fought each other. And I thought that that was like one of the best fights of the season, in my opinion. And like they was flexing hard with that animation. Like she came in with like a knee to the face, and they just went like toe to toe for
Yeah.
like 2 minutes or whatever. And it was like a really good 2 minutes of animation. Like it was so good, you know?
And just consistently focused on time, on like on the element. None of it was just reactionary shots like that. It was really well done.
Yeah, had some good choreography, all that good stuff. Um, One thing I will mention as well that I like that they do with the animation is they do the animation of like the faces and like the emotions of the faces. They do that really well too. I feel like that's one of the key points of this show is like the faces and the expressions that are shown on it because they over express and it really makes you feel certain ways that you need to feel in those situations. And they do a good job with that. Like sometimes like the facial expressions they fall flat in the animation and like here coupled with the art style they don't like they excel. There is one thing that kind of bugged me though, Nam, and I don't
Yeah.
know why it bugged me, but I seen it once and then I couldn't unsee it again. And like when they was walking sometimes, they looked really stiff. Like the best way for me to explain it was when the characters was walking sometimes, it looked like they was taking like super small steps, like they was like old people and their backs was hurt or whatever. It looks like they was shuffling almost. And it just looked weird, like compared to like the rest of the stuff that we seen, like we everything else looks so good and then you got like that little bit of animation that happens over and over when characters are just walking. It looks like they're just barely shuffling, like their backs are out or something. I'm just like, bro, at least make them walk like realistically normal, you know?
Like people.
Yeah. So I didn't really care for that, but like that's literally the only complaint I have about the animation. Everything else looked really good. So, do
I
you
don't
have
know, like I
anything?
said, I think that again, it kind of just added a little bit more attitude to the scene and stuff like that, which again, more more character and stuff like that. So I personally enjoyed it. I didn't mind it at all. Like
Okay.
even that whole shuffling thing,
I don't
it
know, I just
wasn't like it was too much.
yeah, like I said, I just noticed it one time, and I was like, "Man," like, I just couldn't get it out of my head after that. I was like, "This they act like they're old people that can't hardly walk." And I'm like, we seen them just like running across the rooftop. Why, why make them walk like that? It's weird. Like it's not that it was like horrible. It's just like compared to everything else, it was bad. So, um, one other thing, like another thing that we getting back to like the plot, some of the plot of the story, um, we were shown like Vander. He was like a beast during the war. He had like huge ass gauntlets. It was like really cool. Like he he basically became like the leader of the underground after like this battle. Um, but you know, after the failed heist, if you want to call it that, the guards they come down to the underworld. They come trying to find like these four kids that created all this ruckus up top, like the explosions and like shit like that. People got hurt, um, and like he ends up, making a call. He ends up having to make some tough decisions. With the enforcers, and he chooses not to do anything. Like, everyone else kind of wants him to, stand up and fight against them. Don't let them walk all over them. And he chooses not to do anything. And I just want to know your thoughts on this. Like, do you think that was the right call? Trying to stay peaceful there? Like despite, what V and everyone else that they just wanted to fight and, take care of business, you know what I mean?
I think that Vander, right? He's a little bit more seasoned. He's a little smarter. I think he knows what going to war would mean. And I feel like he did that once and it caused an issue, right?
Yeah, I
Something
mean, he
that he
lost people. He said
regrets.
he lost people. So,
But I think it's that he's also regretting the people that he did lose specifically because of how it happened. Obviously, when you're in that kind of a world, right, you're anticipating people dying, but it was probably his actions that actually led to those deaths.
yeah.
And having that kind of a feeling, you're not going to want to jeopardize everyone else's life, especially when kids are involved, right? And I think that's what his ultimate goal was is like, hey, let's not fight because it's not going to actually be any good. People will die, He's just trying to save them really is what it is.
Yeah. And that's what I thought too. I thought that he was like scared to lose like V and Powder. Because like he lost people last time, and he knows that there was a huge possibility that he would lose, them this time, and that's like his daughters at that point, right?
Yeah,
But
he's adopted them.
you know, I think that I think it was a mistake though of him choosing to take the path that he took. I feel like that he should have done a better job at explaining why he chose that path because at the end of the day, it made him look weak. A man like himself that leads the underground, you can't be looking weak like that. It makes people second guess you, and like you see like what those actions caused. It made V like decide to take action on herself because she didn't understand why he wasn't taking action. And I feel like he should have done a better job explaining why he couldn't do these things. And he did explain it after it was all said and done, right? Like when she'd already called the people or whatever and they was fixing to show up, he explained it then, but as they always say, that was a little too late. Um but and I also think that he probably could have found a way to get out of it. Um besides what happened. I feel like there was definitely a way to get out of it. Like lie about it, put the blame on someone else, like something like that. Like there's ways, but obviously for plot purposes, this is the route we took. So I just don't really agree with his choice to stand by and just wait and see, pretty much, which was what he did. So
I don't
Um,
know. I don't see it quite necessarily as that's all he did. I think that he was trying to go for a more peaceful route despite what everyone else was trying to go for.
yeah, I just feel like there should have been more communication. That way, he wouldn't have like lost the room. You know what I mean?
I
Uh,
guess.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like his choices, they led V. She tried to take matters into her own hand. She gave Powder her like favorite toy. She got it down from the power lines or whatever, and she gave it to her. And she's at that moment, I was like, she's gonna turn herself in. And that's what she did. She was able to contact the head of the woman that was coming by, the enforcer woman, Grayson, I think her name was, and she was able to contact her and set up a meeting or a deal or whatever, and they was coming to take her. So, but all that turned into a bigger mess because this is where we get introduced to like I would say like one of the bigger antagonists of the show right now in Silco, and this is the bad dude right now. He's created like a chemical called shimmer. It's purple, it's liquid and stuff like that, and it basically transforms people into monsters, pretty much. And he's created this. He's tested it out on rats and like people and all this good stuff. And he shows up, right in the perfect moment, when these guards have come to arrest her. But Vander ends up turning himself in and locking her up. And it's like, I'm not letting you do this. This is the whole reason why he wasn't going to fight people because he didn't want to lose, V and Powder. So obviously he's going to turn himself in. Um, and, you know, Turns out Marcus, the headstrong, full of himself guard that is uh with her, he's working with Silco. He's in Silco's pockets pretty much, and he ends up capturing Vander and killing her and Grayson, and like everything just escalated at that point. And so it makes me wonder, like, what do you think Silco wants? Like, why does he hate Vander so much when they used to basically be brothers? Like, what do you think? Why?
I think it has to do with that mysterious event that I had mentioned and some of the people that he lost. I think that Vander got overambitious, launched an attack, and in the crossfire, Silco was probably one of the people that he lost. Granted, he didn't die, he still lost him though. And Silco hates him for what he did, which caused him to become who he is and have to resort to those drugs to not only live, but then also, um, turn people into monsters.
So yeah, that's a pretty good theory. I think I want to go the other route though. For my own, I want to say that like Silco. So we know that Silco and Vander, like they was, I think that they was really close. Like they was kind of like co-leaders or something. Like they was at the top towards each other. I think, and like I feel like that at the end of the battle, Vander seeing all the destruction and like all the lost lives. And I think that he wanted to stop fighting and become peaceful or like go the peaceful route to stop the fighting, stop the bloodshed. And I think the Silco wanted to keep going. And I think that that's where like they split apart and parted ways. And that's where Silco thinks that, he got betrayed because like he hates the guards, I mean, Vander does too. But the issue is like Vander wasn't willing to keep on giving up uh the people that he loved or that respects him that he's in control of to win a losing battle or to fight a losing battle, right? And Silco wanted to do that. I think Silco wanted to keep fighting, and I think that that's what his goal is. I think his goal is to, create something that can help him finish the job essentially. And I think that's what he wanted to do. And I think that Vander was standing in his way, even after like it was all settled and done, and they went back to the underground or whatever. I think Vander was still standing in his way. And that's why he hired Marcus to uh, come up there and get him, and that's why he was able to take him back, and he was gonna kill him, experiment on him, or whatever. And I think that's why, because Silco wants to get his revenge or like finish the job, and Vander didn't want to. So, what do you think about that? You like that one better?
Don't, because I don't feel like it would really fit with what we've seen of Vander so far. Vander is definitely a fighter, right? But
He is, but
he fights for people, right? But essentially, it I don't think that it would necessarily take like a bunch of people dying for him to want to stop fighting, right? I think it would have to be someone very important to him, which is where I think Silco comes into play, and that's why Silco's mad. Silco doesn't look like the type to be a fighter. He doesn't.
well,
He's very thinly framed compared to how Vander is.
yeah, but you got to think, was he like that back then? Maybe he got that way when he became obsessed with creating Shimmer. And then again, maybe he kind of controlled, like maybe he was like the thinker, and Vander was like the I smash things type type situation. And when Vander decided, hey, I don't want to keep fighting a losing battle. I don't want to keep losing people over nothing. Then maybe he got mad and he decided to create his own army, of uh, uh, malformed monsters. So, you know what I mean? I mean that's the reason why I think so. I definitely
I mean, I'm
don't
not
think he's
saying
a
that it's a
fighter
bad
though.
theory, but
Yeah,
no, I definitely most think he is a fighter.
I got you. Well, another thing that I want to talk about is like in episode 3. Um, this was a great episode, and like looking back, like this show done this thing where every 3 episodes was like a mini arc or whatever. It's like acts, act 1, 2, and 3. Um, and in episode 3, it's like the finale of act 1, right? And so this one kind of sealed the deal for me. Like we get like V and everyone else except for Powder, obviously. They're all going to try to rescue Vander. But they walk right into a trap. Silco wanted them to come. They wanted them to show up. I guess that way maybe he could get rid of them all together is what he was going to try to do. But Powder decides to show up, and she's got those magic orbs, and she uses one of them. I mean, she puts them in her monkey bomb, and like ends up blowing up the building and killing a lot of people. And among the dead, like was Milo and Clogger, which was two of their friends, right? And like V was pretty hurt. Like she had like a lot of rubble fall on her, and so did Vander too. Vander had a lot of rubble on him too, but he's a big boy. He was able to get out of it. And at the end of the day, Vander ended up dying. Trying to save V. So one thing I want to talk about is why we think Powder decided to go. Like, does she think that she was gonna lose everyone, or did she feel useless? What do you think?
I think she didn't wanna feel useless and that she wanted to test out her new invention, her new gadget. I just didn't think that she was aware that it was going to hurt her family.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
I
when she
mean,
realized what happened.
yeah. Well, I mean, like little kids, they don't think, right? Like they just do shit before they think it
Yeah,
through.
and she's always been brought onto the jobs because V always told her, "You are ready. You can do this."
Yeah. And
So,
yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I don't think that I think that she knew that everyone was capable of rescuing Vander, but I think that she wanted to prove to Milo and V especially that she was capable of not being a jinx, of not screwing up, you know.
yep.
But once again, like she can't like get rid of, her failures and she fails again. But this time on a much, much worse like level. Like she ends up killing her friends. And like it's kind of selfish in my opinion, like thinking that way and like like but like I said, I know it's a kid. Like she don't know no better, but like you don't go like interfere with a mission like that with no plan and without them knowing you're coming uh like like that, you know what I mean? You just can't do that. Like it puts everyone at danger. It puts everyone at risk. That's what happened. People died because of that. So, uh one thing though, I don't think it was the right choice for V to blame Powder and smack her and like belittle her and stuff like that before leaving, walking away from her. I don't think that that was the right move because like I know V's hurting because of everything she just went through. She's seen Vander die. She's seen all her friends die. She put the pieces together that, she's seen the monkey bomb. Um, she talked to Powder. Like she knew what happened. But the thing is, Nam, she's kind of to blame. She's partly to blame for Powder doing what she did too, because she knew Powder had those orbs. She knew what kind of mental state Powder was in. She knew that Powder wasn't going to stay, and she still left her by herself with a strange, like, device, strange thing that they had no idea what it was. And I feel like that's her fault just as much as it is Powder's. For letting a kid uh be able to do what she wanted to do with God knows what. You know what I mean?
I mean, potentially, but that's the thing, right? You're living in that kind of a world, you're going to be exposed to a lot of those elements and stuff like that. So you can't protect them forever. What you can do is hope that they learn how to use them properly so they don't hurt themselves and they don't hurt you.
Yeah, but you can't learn about something that you don't know about. You know what I mean? It's unless you just do it. And I feel like I mean, I know she was scared to talk to Vander about those things because like Vander was only gonna like be mad or upset or whatever. But better than being upset than, you know, in the situation that they're in now, right? But
I
then
don't know.
again, hindsight's 2020, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it is tough to say, especially given just the fact that again, there is there is a lot of variable there just to the whole thing. I mean, the city itself, right? If we think back to the city, because they've already explained it, it's a city built on science. Science is progression through failure. If they're not failing, how are they ever going to progress? So again, I just to me, Powder didn't really think that it was gonna be that big. I mean, she
It
had
probably
that
wouldn't have if she only put one in there, right? She
well,
put
she
them
didn't have
all in
that
there.
gemstone.
Yeah,
No, she had that it had that gemstone, and if it wasn't for that gemstone, yeah, it would have been a lot more tame.
yeah.
It might not have even been blown up.
Well, I thought she put them all in there. She, like, had a handful of those, orbs, and she put them all in there. I think she had, like, 4, and she put them all in the bomb.
Yeah, but only one of them was in the middle and it blew up.
Yeah, well, it blew up, and then it made the other ones blow up, kinda thing. Uh, like, it just, like, the one in the middle when the clapper thing or whatever, it was like the fuse pretty much, and the other one was just like a bomb that got set off afterwards. So, um, but like I think all of this could have been avoided if if V would have just listened to Vander and decided to protect Powder. He's like protect Powder, and if she would have just protected Powder once more, like we wouldn't have these issues that we're having now, right? Like Jinx wouldn't be a thing. So, um, but she could have just told lies, which brings me to the point like it really surprised me when Powder chose to hug Silco and said V wasn't her sister anymore because I didn't think she had it in her to turn around like turn ship like that. Um, but I mean, I understand like a lot of happened in a short time. She's a kid, her emotional state is all over the place. She just learned she just killed some of her families slash best friends or whatever. Her father figure just died. Her sister just said, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. She disowned her basically. So she had to latch on to someone, or she wasn't gonna make it in that world, right? And she just happened to pick the worst person possible. So
I mean, at the end of the day, the worst person, if they're there, they're not the worst person. And I hate to say it because V was basically arrested, but at the end of the day, she left her. And
yeah,
that's all that
it's all
Powder
V's
is gonna
fault.
see.
That's what I've been saying this whole time. It's all V's fault.
I'm not saying that, but if if she didn't if she wasn't abandoned basically there, then she would have been in a completely different mental state too, I feel.
Yeah. Um, we also got speaking of Powder, I wanna, touch on this real quick is we know we got a time skip in episode 4. Powder's grown up now and she's not Powder anymore. She's Jinx. Become Silco's evil assistant, essentially like his daughter. And V's been in prison the whole time. Jace and Victor, they've successfully advanced like Piltover with the help of their hex tech. Kate's been an enforcer, become an enforcer, like detective. And Kate's like the chick that was with Jace when the heist went down and things exploded or whatever. And Zahn has fallen into an even deeper hole with Silco in charge and Vander dead. Like all this stuff is happening. But the most important thing I feel like is let's talk about Jinx. Because like I didn't expect uh her to become this far out there. Like I expected her to become evil because she went with an evil man. But she is like out there. Like she's crazy. She's way out there. She's a stone cold killer. She's psychotic. Like she's having hallucinations. She don't know the difference between reality and like fantasy. Like there's a lot of things going on with her. So like, did it surprise you any Nom to see her in this state?
Nope, not at all. I was actually waiting for it.
You thought she was going to be
Um,
that far advanced?
so even though I didn't play the games, like League of Legends. I never played any matches. I still know of the characters, right? There's
Okay.
like a few characters I know of. There's a lot of gameplay that I have seen. That being said, I will say that a lot of the moves that we've seen are or like a lot of the weapons and abilities that they kind of do is actually what happens in the game. That being said though, like knowing Jinx, yeah, she's always been that psychotic in the game and stuff like that. So it was only a matter of time before they were actually going to do it as well in the show. I am a little shocked that it took that quick of a turn, but I'm not shocked at all that it happened. And I was waiting for it to happen.
See, I was wondering, so I figured like after we seen Jinx becoming this state, I figured that that's how she was in the game. And so I was wondering if like I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder if Jinx acting like this, like people knew, like the people that played League of Legends, they knew that this was how she normally acted. So they probably wasn't surprised to see her acting like this, but they was probably surprised when they seen Jinx, as a kid and like being in her innocent and sweet state and stuff like that. Like I feel like that they was more shocked seeing that side of Jinx than this side of Jinx. Whereas people like me who literally know nothing about the game, that not even like what kind of character Jinx is, like her personality or whatever. It was the opposite for me. Like, I knew Jinx or Powder as, you know, this sweet, young, innocent kid, And when she switched to like this far off to the outfield or whatever, like it really surprised me a lot because I was like, man, she's out there. Which I mean, when you're a kid like that and you have all these traumas, like this is what happens. You know what I mean? Like when you have, especially when you have someone like Silco becoming your father figure.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely didn't help anything. But ultimately too, the thing that they really did well too was the just showing how a lot of these different effects or things like affected her, right?
Yeah.
Because that was another thing that they did really well. Just showing like, oh, okay, I see an image of someone that's got red hair.
Yeah.
You must be my sister. And all of a sudden she's like acting on that. And then, she gets a little bit more twisted and deranged from there. And it just keeps on going.
Yeah, and it really shows like how unstable she is, especially when she sees stuff like that. Because like at this point, like her mind is playing tricks on her. Like she's seeing Clogger, she's seeing V, she's seeing Milo, she's seeing all these people show up, but they're not real. Like they're hallucinations. She's seeing her sister and people that look similar, and like it's not real. Like it makes you wonder, like, is she too far gone? Can she be saved? And like honestly, I don't know. I don't know if she can be saved. Like I feel like that's the goal at this point, is to save her. I feel like she's too far, she's almost too far gone. Like the only thing that gives me hope is like she kept her sister's favorite toy, and like she remembers, like she still has those memories of her sister and like her friends and stuff, and like she visits their old house, and like that means there's a chance. But you know Silco's actively trying to make her let go of her past, and Powder as a whole, and that's why he took her to that, like, the ocean, or that the swimming hole or whatever, because she's like, you gotta let go of that, you gotta be like I did, you gotta become Jinx, you gotta let Powder go. And if she ever does that, I feel like there's no way getting her back. She's like teetering on the brink right now, where she could either go either way. And right now she's leaning more towards Jinx. And obviously, like, I think that she don't get saved. I think that she's Jinx for a reason. I mean, that's it's kind of spoilered because we already know League of Legends. You know what I mean? I feel like so.
Most definitely, but that still doesn't really answer a lot. I mean, it goes back to, again, MOBAs have a deep, deep history. Their
Yeah,
lore is very, very far-fetching. Like, one thing that I don't know if you caught on to it, they kept mentioning lanes,
yeah, I seen that, but I didn't understand what they was talking about in the city sense. You know
because it's not about the city.
what is it about?
Lanes from MOBAs.
Yeah,
Your
but,
upper lane, your mid lane, your lower lane.
so
Those
I
are the
mean,
travel points between. Those are the areas where the people are existing, right? That's where most of the fighting happens, right? So, like, they've touched up on that little aspect of it without many people even realizing. And it took me, a few episodes. I think it was like my the fourth episode or the fifth episode when I was like, oh, they keep mentioning lanes. That's that's literally game talk right there.
yeah, I mean, I heard it too, but I just ignored it pretty much. So
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it in that sense, right? Like, it's just, again, the world is so deep and so rich that there's a lot for them to dive into, and they're doing it, but we don't know how they're going to go about doing it, which is the best part about it. Because then we get all these unique situations with, seeing Jinx and her having these hallucinations, and then finally her actually meeting, like, that's all stuff that's very, very dynamic, and you can't you can't necessarily take any of that for granted, because there's going to be times where these characters are going to act out of character because of certain things that happen. That
okay.
certain thing might be finding her sister again. That's not to say that she's not going to still be evil and psychotic.
I mean, we seen what happened when like they meet face to face or whatever. Like she she didn't know if it was like she literally asked like, "Are you really V?" And
Are
like that
you
shows you
real?
just yeah, are you real? And that shows you just like how much like turmoil is in her mind right now. Like she literally doesn't know if people are real or not. And then she thinks that I really do think that she don't think she's real because then Kate showed up and she was like, my sister can't be with an enforcer. Like that's not true. Like she's not real, you know? Um Also another thing I want to ask, like, do you think that we see in the background a lot. Do you think that that was Milo's real body on her couch?
I really hope not,
But do you
but
like what are the odds of it being his real body?
about 80-20.
Because like at first I thought it was like a doll or something, and then I thought it was like a delusion or hallucination, and then I was like, huh. After seeing more of her new character, Jinx, I was like, huh. I think that's really Milo. I really do think that's Milo. And then I was wondering, like, where's Clogon at? Where did she put him? You know?
I don't think she took his body. I think she only took Milo's.
Yeah, because I mean, Milo was the one that always was doubting her, right? And she probably like blames Milo for like everything that happened, probably.
Oh yeah, she's definitely not a fan of him.
Um, but yeah, I seen that. I was like, damn, she's really got a freaking dead body sitting on her couch, just like chilling, bro. Um, it was just so like everything about Jinx is just so far out there. Her attitude, like personality, like everything is just like a total change. And like you don't really get warned for that if you're not LOL player. So, um, but uh, like there's only like one or two more things I want to touch up on, uh, and that's like one of them is like Kate and V. Obviously, they team up. They try to find Powder and Silco, right? Um,
Yep.
do we think that them as a team, if do they have potential to try to understand both sides and maybe find a way to bring Piltover and Zone back together? What do you think?
I do not.
Why?
I believe that at the end of the day, everyone is going to look at Kate as an inquisitor, like one of the soldiers,
Enforcer? Yeah.
enforcer, and it's all that they will ever see of her, despite the fact that she does want to actually help.
Okay.
So
I mean, I
it
can see
it
that.
yes. We've kind of all I think we've already seen it a little bit. I mean, they're not exact like the two of them are obviously close, but there feels like there's something in between there that is preventing them from necessarily um seeing eye to eye and working together in that sense.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with you on that take as far as like everyone seeing Kate as an enforcer and not giving her a shot. But the thing that I'm gonna move away from is the fact that she has V on her team. And I think that V is I think that what they're gonna try to do, hear me out now. I think that they're gonna try to make V become like the new Vander. And I think that, with Vander's name and knowing everyone knew that V was Vander's, daughter or whatever, you know, essentially, I think that she can make people trust Kate. And I think that they can. They have the potential. I don't know if they will, but I think that they can. They have the potential to find a way to bring them back together. But I feel like Kate has to have the help of Jace, because Jace wants to help everyone. Like he wants everyone to be saved, and even like the bottom city or whatever, not just the top. And and Kate is seeing all the differences, and she's seeing the differences firsthand, and she's really becoming to understand like this underground city or whatever. And I feel like with the help of Jace, which is a councilman now, and with the help of Kate, being like the cross woman, and then on that side, and then V being the like cross woman on this side, the bottom city, and getting everyone under control and trusting. I feel like that they have that potential to bring everything back together. But the only thing that's going to stop them, I think, is the hardest part, and I think that's going to be Jinx. I think that they're going to have to kill Jinx in order to achieve that, and we all know that that's going to be very hard to do because of how V feels, right? Like she's not going to be able to let it go because she knows that Jinx is the way she is because of what she did. So, and she's going to have a hard time, you know, ridding the
Assessing
world
that.
of the evil that she created, pretty much, right?
That's an interesting way to kind of see it. And I could definitely agree with it, but something tells me that V's a little bit more of a firecracker and is gonna want to fight.
I think so. Like, I think that they're trying to parallel Vander and Silco's story right now with V and Jinx. That's what I think. And I think that V is gonna adopt Vander's like ideology, late ideology, and understand like, you know, not everything can be won in a battle. And I think that that's what she's gonna. I think that's what's gonna happen. That Silco is essentially Jinx, and Vander is essentially, or V is essentially Vander. And they're just like repeating history kind of thing. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but I don't know. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Okay. I mean, I could definitely see where you're getting with that because essentially V being kind of trained and raised by Vander and then Jinx with Silco.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens specifically. But I think that's what I think is going to happen in the end game. Uh, it'll probably take a long time to do it, and I'm probably wrong. You know what I mean? Um, but other than that, like I know there's a few other points, but you know, we've been talking for a while now, and I don't know, like, do you think either one of those points are like pretty important to talk about, or you just want to move on to the final thoughts?
Um, I feel like we could probably just move on to the final thoughts at this point. I mean,
I mean, we already talked
there's
about like Jace and them a whole lot. I mean, I guess we could talk about like Victor, and like if we think that he's actually gonna, live or whatever, like if do we think he finds a way to heal himself, or do you think like what's going on with the blood? Uh, like I kind of think that uh that hex core thing is like taking his life force because his blood got into it. That's what I think. Um, that's what's causing him to die. What do you think?
um I mean, it's tough to say because without really knowing much of his backstory, there's only so much that we'll be able to necessarily know and tell, right?
Yeah, which I
Uh
mean, he was probably sick before because I mean he's coughing up blood, right? But
exactly my point. Not to
yeah,
mention he also is walking around with that limp, which makes me think that yeah, there was something else probably going on beforehand.
yeah, but I think that a major thing is the blood getting into that hex core thing that they're creating or trying to stabilize or whatever. But I don't know why. It's what it did. We don't know that yet. But we do know that like he wakes up and they say he's only got so much longer to live or whatever. So but I do think that he figures it out. I think that he figures it out before he dies. Um and I don't think he dies. I think he's able to uh finish it and heal himself. I think. So
Same. Yeah, he'll be able to come up with something that'll allow him to be able to continue living and stuff like that, and maybe even make himself better and stronger than what he was too.
yeah, without a limp or whatever. I mean, we know it can happen because Jace's mom was, the whole reason why Jace, started down this journey was because his mom got saved by this arcane mage or whatever, right? And they healed her, and that's what he's trying to recreate, basically. So, um, but yeah, I mean, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we move on to, you know, the end of this?
Um, I guess we could talk really quickly about Heimerdinger.
Oh, Heimerdinger. What a
He was an
freaking name.
interesting character. I know. It's so great. Um
Leave it up for the
I,
freaking only the oldest professor, like Dumbledore ass dude, like to have a name like Heimerdinger and look like he does.
for real. And on top of that too, like he is centuries old, they revealed, right?
Yeah, like 300-400 years old, I think they say, right?
Which is insane to think about.
Yeah.
Like, what are
It's
you doing to
interesting because
live that long?
yeah, I mean, what kind of race is he? Like, that's I guess if you play like League and know a little bit about like the races and backstories of like League characters and shit, I feel like that you probably know a little bit more. But like us, we don't really know anything about like all these different races and classes and stuff, right? And
No,
it
not
would
at
be
all.
so interesting to be know that kind of stuff. So, um, maybe we need to look it up or something. So
Yeah, or I mean, it could be something too that does get explained throughout the show because they've done a really good job of just explaining so many different things.
true, and
So
that is
it does make
true.
me curious.
But uh, what was you gonna ask about Heimerdinger?
Just like, how do you feel about him in general? Like, he was a very interesting character. He was
Yeah,
showing up. He was talking about
the past and
essentially, yep. But he was always talking about the past, how things need more time, like hex tech. He even shut it down initially before they were willing to accept it.
uh,
So,
yeah, I feel like he's got that Furin vibe going on. You know what I mean? Like he does like he's been alive for so long, he don't understand like how impatient people that don't live as long are. You know what I mean? He feels like he's got all this time in the world when he don't. Because humans don't. Uh, even though he's lived 300-400 years, like humans probably they don't live that long, so
no.
they want to do it now, like they want to get it done as soon as possible. um and I feel like it's probably like a bad move in order to kick him off the council because like the famous quote, history always repeats itself. And like here you go, you got like a living like
Historian.
history book, historian, like Nam said. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have that on your side because he's literally seen like the bad days and the good times and the innovations and like, all this other stuff. He's seen the come up of the city. Like I'm pretty sure that they said he was one of the founders of the city. And like he's there for a reason, even though he's very laid back in his approaches and like wants to take his time, there's a reason because like he's seen it all before and he knows what can happen. But also you got to think, uh you got to look at the other side where these people they don't want to wait, 100 years to do these things. They want to, especially Jace, like he wants to save the world now. He wants to make the world better now. You know what I mean? But it did get through to him, like the safety side of things, because he actually stopped doing his stuff and it's like, we need to make this safer before people get a hold of it. So
That's really all it boils down to is just it's unfortunate what happened to him, to Heimerdinger, right? Like,
do you,
you really feel for him.
you think he should get kicked off? Or do you think he should have
No.
stayed?
No, I think he should have stayed. But I feel like him leaving is going to give us that motivation that we needed to see from him to want to actually, like, push forward, right? And, complete these, his next goal. Which, whatever it is, obviously we wish him the best of luck and stuff like that. It's gotta be the motivation, though, that drives him to want to actually, fight, though, right?
Yeah.
He is a character. Heimerdinger is a character in League of Legends. So,
Yeah, I feel like
just
we'll see more of him going forward. I just don't know what role he plays. You know what I mean?
No, and it'll be very interesting to see too.
Yeah. Um, with all that being said, is there anything else that you think we need to talk about, or do you think we're good to move on to the final thoughts section?
I think we can do our final thoughts at this point. We've gotten a lot talked about, and like I said earlier, like this show has been just absolute gas the entire time.
It's
It's
pretty
not
deep too, honestly.
Yeah, it's not easy for, again, an anime to just come out of nowhere and be that impactful, especially with something that doesn't already have like a background story that's defined. This is the definition of the origin story of League of Legends. We're
Yeah.
seeing it for the first time. We're experiencing it for the first time. And just the fact that it is able to evoke that much power and emotion and to be able to be this consistently good. Like I said, I watched up to 8 episodes. I couldn't stop watching,
It's hard, Nam.
and
It was hard.
it is, and that is a huge testament because, again, everything up to it, it's consistently been very, very thrilling, very good. You're learning more, you're seeing more, new characters or even returning characters and stuff like that. There's just so much depth to it that you can finally really dig into because this show has done that. And again, like you were saying earlier, you don't need to be a fan of the game. You don't know have to know anything about the game. It's still that good though. You should not just dismiss it outright because of that.
Or the art style, like even though the art style looks very different, you need to give it a shot because like they handle it with such care, and it actually fits really well. So you have to watch it. Like it's just that good, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
and I have a feeling like after what Nam said, he's definitely going to continue it, and he's probably going to have season 2 done by Monday.
There's a very good possibility.
Like I said, this was like very last minute for us. We decided to do this very last minute. I feel like if we had like a couple more days, we would have easily done a whole season 1 review of this instead of like a first look of the first 6 episodes, because we would have had more time to actually finish it. We would have finished it. So, because that's just
Yeah.
how good it is. And I think that answers the question. Am I going to continue it? Like I'll probably finish up watching the season 1 by Monday as well. Um, and probably season 2 I'll just start that right after, because like like this is a really good show. I think that like Nam said, anybody can enjoy this. Like if you want like fun action, like a great story with a lot of like fun little twists, uh, like thrown in there every now and then. It's even got like political drama too. And once again, like don't let the art style hold you back. Like this shit's peak. Listen to the masses. Like this is won like Emmys. This is won, you know, all kinds of awards. There's a reason. Like normal people could probably watch this and have fun. Like I know that League of Legend fans love this shit because like it's so good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
you get to learn more about your favorite characters.
yeah. And I truly think that something like this is gonna be like the standard, like it's gonna become like the standard of like video game adaptations. Like if it doesn't like meet what Arcane did, it's probably gonna be perceived as like a,
A
not
cash grab.
good, you know. Yeah, or a cash grab. And like there's like a lot of games out there that they can like play with like this. You like we're talking like Warcraft. Imagine like they could like get really deep into Warcraft. They could do like RuneScape. Like there's so many games out there that they could do something like this if they just take that first step. Like Riot Games did, and look at where we are. Like we're watching Peak now. Um, I mean, they did it with Last of Us, right? Except they done live action Last of Us, but still, like that was pretty well perceived. Not as good as this, I don't think, but it was still really good. Um, and like last but not least, I guess after 6 episodes, like I can see this being an easy 9. I agree with like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb and stuff like that. Like I think it's like an easy 9 already. Like it could be a 10, honestly. After it's all said and done, it probably will be a 10 because it's just that good, honestly.
And I'll have to agree. I mean, there's just so much to it that really helps it stand out, not just again as a video game adaptation, um, but even just as a show in general to watch. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of people that could get into it, and then from there, yeah, they may want to check out League of Legends. They may not even want to do that, and they just may want more of, a good original story. And that's exactly what this did.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I'm pretty sure season 2 is the finale of Arcane, but I've heard rumors about like them doing like side stories, like spin-offs of this type of thing. So that would be really interesting to see. I think it would do pretty well, I would say, spin off of other characters or something like that, instead of like Jinx and V and all that, So
Yeah, well, like they've been talking for a while about really expanding the League of Legends thing. I mean, they've got a couple other things out there already. I want to say a couple other side games that just focus on some of the main characters.
yeah.
Has absolutely nothing to do with mobile gameplay, but they're still doing it so that way you can learn more about these characters and really have a lot more to care about and learn about, and hopefully also really teach people a lot more too about like the balance of the game and stuff. Again, how characters mesh together and just how well like certain characters play together.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's one thing that did get to see, is just like again V and Kate. She was doing all the close up combat, but then Kate was able to watch her back from afar.
Because she's a sharpshooter. Is Kate a League of Legends character?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So I assume she's using her like lever action sharpshooter thing. So
Yep.
okay, yeah, I it makes it. I'm actually gonna go look up like characters after this because like I feel like that would it would be interesting to see which of these characters I've seen in Arcane is actually like legit characters in League of Legends. So, um,
Yeah. And I'll tell you
but
right now, it's actually quite a surprising amount.
yeah, well, I mean, why not? You have to. Just you've made all these characters. You put them in this adaptation. Let
Yeah,
them
put it into the
shine.
world.
Uh, but other than that, like, do you have anything else that you want to talk about now before we close it down?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah,
We've covered just about everything so far that we've been able to see within the first few episodes. So
yeah. Uh, well, I guess that's it for this week. And thanks for listening, like always. Make sure y'all come back through next week. We're gonna be talking about, like I said, the we're gonna be looking ahead at winter, and we're gonna find some of the popular shows that we know are gonna be hits. We're gonna talk about them a little bit. We're gonna find some hidden gems. The usual. Uh, we're just gonna bullshit about shows that we're looking forward to for next season. If you wanna see make sure like if you want to see like Nom's pink kitty ear headphones, make sure you go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as you're watching. or Spotify. Follow us on Spotify. You can see the videos there as well. Uh, so you're missing out. Nom, like I said, Nom's got them kitty ears on. Uh, but make sure y'all go to that linktree.com/anime degens or just Google anime degens podcast, whichever one you want. We'll see you on Tuesday for the rundown and peace.
Later.